All right. Hello, gentlemen. This is it, Regional Week, what we've been working for since June. We've arrived, we're in great position, and we get to compete to go to the state meet as a team for the first time since 2013. That right there gets me pumped up. I'm super excited. This is a special team. You guys are a special group, and I think we can really get out there and do some damage this weekend. The virtual meet is what you are looking at right here. The 16 biggest dogs in Columbus, 16 best teams in Columbus, greater area, out of 56 teams. So we're already kind of in that top fourth of the general area. So these are good teams. Everybody at regionals is a respectable team. Okay. You can see here the breakdown. Davidson has two front runners. Liam Shaughnessy from Kaufman, we know about him. Sam comes in on the 4 slot right here. Sam, I want to challenge you to see if you can stay with Liam. This is going to be a fast race. This is going to be an aggressive race. If you, I'm speaking to everybody here, not just Sam. If you have a passive mindset, you will get dumped. You will get dusted in this race. Okay, this race is for the people that want it. So understand that fact and that premise as we talk about strategy here in this video. If you don't have an aggressive mentality, if you don't have specific set benchmarks and goals for yourself, you will get left behind, because this is a race where these guys are trying to qualify to the state meet, either as an individual or a team, and these really high importance meets bring out the best in racers and sometimes the worst. And the question is, how do we ensure that we bring out the best in ourselves? Okay. And I think it's through what we just talked about. It's through goal setting, goals, camaraderie, commitment, accountability, confidence. And we have those things in place, and our confidence should be very high. After the last couple of weeks, really the last 3 weeks especially, have been very encouraging. Getting first place 3 consecutive weeks and 3 competitive meets. We are in a very good position, and we are trending up, gentlemen. Okay. Expect great things. Expect yourself to go out and race. Expect yourself to have to work to achieve your goal in this race. Also, expect yourself to feel great when you do that and our team does really well and gets to the state meet. There will be no better feeling this season than qualifying to the state meet this Saturday. That's been our focus the whole season. Okay. So let's get down to some specifics. Sam, you're in the 4 slot. Focus for you is staying in front of UA's number 1, which has not been an issue for you at any point during the season. Make sure he can't get in front of you. And so this week he was 10 seconds behind you at districts. Let's make sure you stay in front of him. Sam, I have no doubt that you can race with Liam. I anticipate this race going out fast. I think it's going to separate between the top 4, and then I think there's going to be a little gap until you hit the next group. Your focus, Sam, is making sure you're a part of that first 4, the first 4. Now, Connor Ackley, he's kind of otherworldly. You know, he may go out and just dust everybody. That's fine. Let him do his thing. You're competing against really Nick Pohl, Liam Shaughnessy, and I almost said yourself. Well, I guess you are kind of competing against yourself in some ways mentally. You're competing against Nick and Liam, Sam. So your focus is staying with those guys and seeing what you have, Sam. I think you could do something special here and end up, outgunning either of those gentlemen. I wouldn't be surprised to see you in second place in this race. I wouldn't. Okay. Your benchmark is 4th place, Sam, and your stretch goal is 2 or 3. If you get better than 4th place, that would be a great accomplishment in my eyes. And so put yourself in position, get out there and run with these guys. This is the time here to let it loose a little bit. Okay. That goes for Sam and everybody. Okay. As we go down, our next guy comes in here, Josh at 14. Okay. Now, let me just preface everybody I'm going to talk about from here on out. The difference between these gentlemen here is inches, not miles. Okay. We are talking about minuscule differences. Okay. So you see Josh coming here at the 14 slot. Well, I mean, if you go up 10 seconds, if you go 10 seconds faster, from a PR perspective, boom, you're already in 8th or 9th place right there. So my point in saying that is there is going to be a lot of mixing up here. Okay, this is just a list based on data, based on PRs. But like I said earlier in the video, those who want the most will achieve in this race. Those who want the most will achieve. So the question for Josh and Sam and everyone else that I'm about to talk about is, how much do you want it? How much do you want it? Because Josh, I see you running with a lot of these dudes. I saw you beat this guy right here, Balco. You beat him recently, just last week or 2 weeks ago at the OCC meet. Or excuse me, no, that was this past weekend. You beat him in districts, okay? And you've beat some of these other gentlemen up here. Here's New Albany's top guy. You've rolled with him, okay? Noah Clemens here is in the 7th spot. Noah is a little dinged up from what I understand. And he, this past weekend, ran 17:15, all right? So the thought that Noah could go out and break 16 or get close to it this weekend, I don't know, unless he's recovering miraculously, okay? I don't think this is a situation like we had this past weekend where, Gunnar didn't have his best race, but it was his legs weren't feeling it. This is a different situation. I think in Noah's situation, I think he's hurt based on what I know. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right. So right there, you got one slot up there potentially for everybody here. So Josh, what I'd like to see you do is keep yourself in the top dozen, the top 12. Okay. I'd like to see you in the top dozen after the first mile, and I'd like to see you shoot for top 10. Okay. I'd say your benchmark, Josh, is 12th, and your stretch goal would be top 10. And by that, don't limit yourself to 10th, buddy, because like I said, we're talking inches, not miles. Don't be surprised if you find yourself in 6th, because it's mindset, it's mentality, it's toughness. Okay. And everyone's going to be close here. So Josh, I want you top 12 in the first mile. And then I want to see you continue working and passing like you have been doing so well and end up in the top 10 by the end. Okay. Now here's where things get really tight. Okay. If I said inches, not miles a second ago, now it really gets to like centimeters, millimeters. Okay. We're talking, tenths of seconds here that separate so many people here from the 15 slot through the 30 slot. I mean, we're talking seconds. Look at this 18 guy in this lineup here at 16:10, and you go 20 seconds to 16:30. You're at the 42 slot. That's 20 seconds. 20 seconds, and a difference of a ton of spots. We're talking 24 spots there in a 20-second span of PRs. I mean, that's why the preparation for this race just looks different, gentlemen. It just looks different. It feels different. Because there is just so little gap between everybody here. Okay, so getting out and setting a goal ahead of time, first of all, which is part of the purpose of this video, and getting out aggressive, getting out enough to where you are not going to be buried and you're not going to be stuck. Because guess what? If you have a bad start and you get buried in your 50th place, it's going to be a heck of a time working your way up and passing people. It's going to be super important to get out in good position and to put yourself in position here, because there's just too much good competition to get buried. Too much good competition. You can't bury yourself here. Okay. And so let's take a look and see what we got. So after Josh, our next guy comes in here, Gunnar 29, Carson 33, David 35. Okay. I'm going to kind of talk about you three plus Barch as a collective whole, because I think Barch has proven that he is a part of this tripod here. He wants to join it and make it a quad. Okay. And Rishi, invitations out there, brother. Okay. I'd love to see you get out and race with these gentlemen as well. So I'm going to speak really to all 5 of you here. Okay. Our strategy for success is going to look like, Gunnar and Carson and David and Barch and Rishi, racing competitively, aggressively, and together. Okay. Now, Gunnar, you're feeling better this week. Hey, man, maybe you want to roll with Josh. Okay. Maybe you want to try it. I know last week wasn't your week. Maybe this week you want to get out and give it a shot. I support it. You're a senior. You're on a redemption tour this week. I'd love to see you go out and have a great race. Okay. And I'm not saying that Carson and David and Barch couldn't get out there and have a heck of a race too. But I'm just saying that to you, Gunnar, because I know it's something you've expressed, and I know you've been close to Josh. You want to race with him, and I think our team will benefit if the two of you can stay close to each other. So that's fine if you want to go for that. Carson, David, Barch, Rishi. Okay. What we really need from you guys is we want to see you in the top, I'd say the top 30 after the first mile. Okay. I'm going to say that again. especially for Rishi, because you struggle to get out. You struggle to get out fast enough, and you're too far back. Okay, I want you all in the top 30 to 32. I'll say the first mile. Okay, if you are in that position, you are going to be in a good spot to continue moving up and put yourself in a good spot. Okay, we really need all of you as a goal. I'd say top 30 for Carson, David, Barch, Rishi. I'll say top 35 for you. Okay, but really top 30 would be fantastic and very realistic for you. Gunnar, 25, maybe a good goal for you, pal, because here you're in the 29 slot. I'd love to see you in the top 25 as your benchmark, and your stretch goal, Gunnar, could be 20th, top 20. Guess what? Top 20 automatically qualify as individuals to state. That's a big deal, okay? And all of you are in that conversation, okay? Top 20 are all region. That's a big deal, okay? So let that be a motivation to you. See what you can do. This is such a close pack up here. I wouldn't be surprised if any or all of you end up in the top 20, okay? So let that act as an extra piece of motivation for you, okay? So yes, Gunnar, benchmark 20, benchmark 25, stretch goal 20. Carson, David, Barch, benchmark 30, stretch goal 25. Rishi, benchmark 35, stretch goal 30, okay? That's what I'm going to say for you gentlemen, okay? And Reed, if you end up getting in, if anyone gets hurt, I would put you in right there with Rishi and Barch. I'd put you right in that mix, okay? So your benchmark would be in that 30 to 35 range, okay? All right, team scores. Let's check out this. Here we are, on paper, slated second. Wow, that would be amazing. Runner-up at regionals. That would be a great accomplishment for us. We got work to do, okay? This is just a piece of paper. It doesn't mean anything, okay? We got work to do, all right? So let's think about how we could compete here with some of these really good teams. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, actually. We know Upper Arlington. We've seen them. We know that we have to stay in front of their 3, 4, and 5 guy, okay? And Thomas M, he's been in the mix for them as well, in the top 4 or 5 for them. So we got to stay in front of their 3 to 6. Okay, our 3 to 6 have to stay in front of their 3 to 6, just like this past week. We got to battle. We got to battle them. Okay, New Albany, I'm not as concerned about them as I once was, only because this past weekend their 4 and 5 guy went 17:22 and 17:35. Okay, not bad times, but for your 4 and 5 guy, not great. Not great to make a state meet, okay? And so that's where they stand right now, okay? So beyond them, though, I want to keep an eye on Lancaster, okay? Lancaster has an extremely tight pack, okay? This week, their spread was, let's see, their 1 guy was 16:29, their 5 guy was 16:48. And they didn't have an insurance policy. Their 6 guy was a minute behind their 5 guy. So they don't have a good insurance policy like we do, but if their 5 perform, their spread is basically nothing, less than 20 seconds, okay? It's going to be important that our top 2, preferably 3, are in front of their 1, okay? So we want Sam and Josh and Gunnar in front of their number 1 guy who ran a 16:29 this past weekend, okay? If we can do that, I think we will hold them off, even if they have a super tight pack coming in behind their number 1. They don't have the low sticks that we have. They don't have the top 10 finishers like we have. And so we can hold them off if we can ensure that our 2 or preferably 3 are in front of their 1, and everybody else, our 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, are competing in the mix in that Lancaster pack. Okay, we can't let their whole pack get in front of our 3 or 4 guy. Certainly not our 3 guy. But we can't let them even if we have our top 2 come in and then Lancaster's 5 come in, we're in big trouble. Okay. We got to be in the mix with those guys. They're going to be ready. Okay. Also want to draw some attention to Kaufman. Like I said, Clemens, I think he's hurt. That changes their team significantly. Okay. I'm not saying they're not going to compete with us. They're a very good team. They've beat us this year. They're a very good team. But Noah is not running 15:48 this past weekend. I don't anticipate it this coming week. He's fighting through some stuff. They have a strong section here with Isaac, Will, Jackson. Loins was back this week and ran pretty well. But if Clemens isn't at that level, they'll take a hit. Hopefully they'll still qualify. We want to root for the Dublin teams, of course, but we want to keep an eye on that. That's really something I keep an eye on. Your goal is just to compete with them, and similar to UA, if you look at their 3, 4, 5, 6, those dudes are right around us. Okay, so they are very much in the mix. Okay, and all these little spots. That's what I mean. We're so close, inches, not miles. All these little spots make a huge difference. 3 seconds could be the difference between 5 or 10 places. So we got to battle with those guys, those Kaufman guys, and I will be giving you a heads up on that as I'm watching the race unfold. And finally, let's go up to Davidson. Obviously, Davidson is a top 3 team in the state, probably. Very good team. Okay, and you can see here they're projected to beat us by a good chunk here, 50 points. Okay. That's not to say we can't roll with them. That's not to say we can't compete with them. Okay, it's to say they're a good team. That's what it's to say. But it doesn't mean that we can't try to run with them. Okay, Ackley, he's going to do his thing. But I think beyond that, I think we can really strategize and think about how we could roll with Davidson. Okay, this past week, Pole went 15:58. Okay, Gilbert was their next guy this past weekend. He PR'd at 16:15. Their next guy was Boyd this past week. He was their 4-man. He ran a 16:31. He's a freshman. Okay, so this will be his first big race, regional race, and so yeah, I mean, who knows how he'll react? But we want to see if we can take advantage of some of his inexperience, maybe a little bit of lack of confidence, just because he's a first timer. Okay. And see if we can capture that and maybe take a place from him. Pace ran 16:33 this past weekend, and Segrilla ran 16:37 this past weekend. Okay, obviously a very strong team. Okay, what we can try to do, realistically, I think that Sam, you can fit between their 1 and their 2. All right, you can see if you can compete with Pole. All right, it would be great if you can stay with Pole, and then Josh, if you can compete with Pace or Gilbert, whoever their 3 guy ends up being, okay, it'd be great if you can compete with those 2 guys. And then I really think that our 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you guys can compete with everyone else here, the Boyd, Segrilla, Kafka, Hudson, whoever they end up racing this weekend. You guys can compete with them. They only ran a little bit faster than you guys this past weekend, maybe 20 seconds. Okay, and they were in a different race. The race changes when you change the dynamic, add teams, subtract teams. Okay, and anything can happen. So that's a team to keep an eye on. All right, obviously they're going to be up there. All right, so they'll be easy to track, right? Because they're a strong team. They'll be up front. So keep an eye on them. I'd say your 3 main focus points are keep an eye on Davidson's guys, Kaufman's guys, especially their 3, 4, 5, 6, and Arlington. Same deal with them. Okay, and Lancaster. I guess I'll add a 4th one in there. Those are the main teams that I think that are really vying for it here. Okay, not to say there won't be another team that gets in the mix, but those are some really strong teams with people that are racing right around us. And every spot matters, gentlemen. Every spot matters. Okay, so this is where you want to leave it out there. Okay, making it to states would be incredible. Okay, and if we make it, I promise next week will be easy. We're gonna get ready for the state meet. I'll give you an easy week next week. I want you to leave it all out there this weekend. Okay, I want you to leave it all out there, and I don't want you to have any regrets. Okay, we're a great team. We can do something special here, guys, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one. Okay. All right, we'll talk more about this very soon. All right, see ya.